UFC 310 takes place this Saturday, and these are my full card predictions. Starting off with the main event, we have got current flyweight champion, the most underrated champion right now in the UFC, Pantoja, versus the debuting Kai Asakura. I'm still kind of amazed that this guy is getting an immediate title shot, to be honest. But the guy is a big name, draws a lot of numbers on social media, especially YouTube, and Asia is going to kind of be a market that the UFC are going to want to get into more, and who better than to have Kai Asakura be the flag carrier for Asia, right? But let's get into this fight right here. Kai Asakura is not beating Pantoja. I'm just going to be honest right now. I think Pantoja is really, really underrated everywhere. Now, a lot of people know him for his grappling, and I feel like the grappling is what's going to help him win this matchup against Kai Asakura, to be honest. However, people get on like this guy can't strike, he's dog shit at striking. Not the case at all. Not the case. You go back and watch Pantoja, the guy can't strike. Now, with Kai Asakura, I was kind of thinking, will he beat him? Will he beat Pantoja? Because I feel like both guys, in terms of striking, I'd probably favour Kai Asakura. However, if you go and look at his finishes over in Rising, there's a lot of soccer kicks that just aren't allowed in the UFC. So how would he have actually fared against those guys? How would he have got the finish against those guys if he wasn't allowed to just fucking Randy Orton punt kick them in the head? Who knows? I'm not saying he wouldn't have won either way. I'm just saying, how would he have looked if he wasn't able to just Randy Orton punt kick these guys? Now, people are looking at Kai Asakura's sparring footage with Merab. This is it right here. And a lot of people are talking about this, wondering, let me mute that video, wondering how good Kai Asakura will be in there against Pantoja. Look, there he is defending the takedowns of Merab, sprawling, scrambling with Merab. A lot of people are saying if he's able to do that to the bantamweight champion, who's much heavier than Pantoja, it's not looking good for him. However, what you have to factor in is Pantoja's grappling is very, very different than what Merab's is. Merab is just a more traditional shoot for a double leg type of grappler, where Pantoja likes to work for trips, sweeps, stuff like that, takedowns from the clinch, and he likes to work to better positions than what Merab tends to work to, if that's making sense. You know, Pantoja will look to get to the back, look to get the half guard, side control, top mount, where Merab is kind of happy to end up in people's full guard, because Merab isn't looking to necessarily hold you down. He's looking to take you down, let you get back up, take you down, and kind of wear on you, where that's not Pantoja's game. Look, just the short and sweet of it, Pantoja's a winner. I think he is going to find a way to beat Kai Asakura. I think he will dominate Kai Asakura in there, to be honest. And I'm predicting a late submission win for Pantoja or a unanimous decision win. This guy's easily the best flyweight right now. Is he better than Demetrius Johnson? Look at the resumes. You let me know. Next up, co-main event. We've got Shavkat Rakhmonov, Ian Garry. I'm not going to lie, this fight right here has kind of saved this main card, because the placement of some fights on this card from prelims to main card is just, I think Stevie Wonder's picked him for the UFC, to be honest. But Shavkat Rakhmonov, Ian Garry stepping in on short notice. Somebody's has to go, and it's Shavkat Rakhmonov's. Ian Garry's beating Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think Ian Garry's going to style on this guy in there, to be honest. Now, I do have a couple of concerns for this pick, and I think I've said them before, but anyway, I'm going to say them again. Number one, I don't fear, but you know what I mean. I have a feeling that if Ian Garry can't put a dent in Shavkat Rakhmonov, what I mean by that is can't hurt him, can't earn his respect, then I feel like Shavkat Rakhmonov will eventually walk down Ian Garry. Now, I feel like even if Ian Garry can't hurt him, I feel like Ian Garry will be racking up the rounds. But when we get into the later stages of the third, fourth and fifth, and Shavkat Rakhmonov is constantly having Ian Garry on the back foot, it is going to be draining. And Shavkat Rakhmonov, he does have a good chin. I don't really rate his striking defense, to be honest, but the guy has power as well, and finishing instinct is next level. Another thing is, how is Ian Garry's defensive grappling going to look in there? Now, we've seen MVP be able to get on top of Ian Garry, and that isn't a good look, to be honest. But people get on like Shavkat as like the next coming of Khabib Nurmagomedov, and it's not the case. The guy struggled to take down a 49-year-old Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. You know what I mean? So it's not as if this guy is an out-and-out just Hamzat Chimaev type grappler. It's not the case, but it is a worry. But anyway, let's look at this. the sparring footage of Ian Garry versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. Let's just take a look here. Now, before people get in and be like, it's just sparring. Yeah, but you can take stuff away from the sparring footage, to be honest. You know what I mean? There's Ian Garry. He's the one on the front foot, surprisingly. Oh, there's Shavkat starting to walk him down. These were just things to look at. I just think Ian Garry technically is a much better striker. I feel like that knee up the middle is going to be there for him. I feel like the leg kicks of Ian Garry are going to be really there for him. I feel like his precision, his timing, his patience in there. It sounds like I'm glazing Ian Garry, but I feel like he's being very overlooked here in this fight against Shavkat Rakhmonov. I do feel like people are just blinded by the aura that is Shavkat Rakhmonov and aren't giving Ian Garry the respect that he deserves. Now, like I said, that is sparring footage. You can't really look too much into that, really. But I feel like there's some stuff you can take away from that. Now, some people might say in the comments, which was a story going about, that Shavkat Rakhmonov KO'd Ian Garry in sparring. I just showed you the only footage you can see of both guys sparring. Didn't look like Shavkat KO'd him. Looked like Ian Garry got the better of him. I think Ian Garry's footwork is going to be too much for him. I don't rate Shavkat Rakhmonov on the feet that much, to be honest. I feel like people are forgetting the success Jeff Neal had against him. Now, granted, Jeff Neal is a big puncher than Ian Garry, so that might have came into play. But Ian Garry is a much more technical striker. I think his body kicks, I feel like that straight right's going to be there for him all night, and the leg kicks. My only concerns, like I said, is if Shavkat Rakhmonov can eat all that, it will be tiring for Ian Garry, and eventually he might get walked down. And the grappling. But I'm backing Ian Garry. I think Ian Garry's going to beat him unanimously on the scorecards. I really do believe it. If you check out one of my other videos recently this week, I said Ian Garry's the dark horse of the welterweight division, and I mean that. Ian Garry is coming, for that Shavkat Rakhmonov O. Ian Garry's beating him. Trust me. Next up in the feature fight, Ciryl Gane versus Volkov. Look, I'm going to keep this short and sweet, to be honest. Ciryl Gane's already beat him. Ciryl Gane, in that same video where I spoke about Ian Garry, Ciryl Gane is the dark horse of this division in heavyweight. A lot of people get on like he's washed, he's this, he's that. The guy's only 2 losses are 1 to Francis Ngannou, who's arguably the best heavyweight right now in MMA, and that was an extremely close fight. 2, he lost to John Jones, who is the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. Outside of that, Ciryl Gane has beaten the likes of Tai Tuivasa, Derek Lewis for the interim heavyweight title. He's already beaten Volkov. Ciryl Gane's beaten him. Ciryl Gane is beating him. I think he's going to beat him by decision, though. It's 3 rounds. I think Ciryl Gane's going to tap at Alexander Volkov, and I think he's going to style on him and beat him by decision. Next up, Bryce Mitchell, Kron Gracie. The fact this clown, no offense to him, is on the main card is ridiculous. The guy's 0-2. He doesn't have really... Caceres isn't a bad win, but outside of that, he's beaten nobody. And he's getting Bryce Mitchell, a ranked featherweight. Bryce Mitchell should win this. He's a better striker. My concern is Bryce Mitchell's game is to wrestle and grapple. I can see him getting caught. I can see Kron Gracie catching him in a sub. Bryce Mitchell's beating him. Bryce Mitchell's beating him by decision, but at plus 550, like, they're pretty good odds because Bryce Mitchell's game plan is to grapple. But I'm picking Bryce Mitchell to get the job done here. Nate Landwehr versus Do Ho Choi. This is going to be a really fun fight. I'm going to go for Nate Landwehr to win this by decision. I think there's going to be a war. I really do. It's either this or Ian Garry, Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to be fight of the night. You heard me here first. Next up, Dominic Reyes, Anthony Smith. I am picking Dominic Reyes. I am still concerned about his chin. However, Anthony Smith isn't that big of a puncher, and he just got styled on by Roman Dolidze, who came up from middleweight. Dominic Reyes found his mojo back, knocking out Jacoby. I think he's going to knock out Anthony Smith in the very first round. Next up, Vicente Luque versus Garimbo. Unfortunately, I think Themba Garimbo is going to beat him, which is sad. I just don't think Vicente Luque's him anymore. I don't think he's got that anymore. I would have picked him to beat Nick Diaz, don't get me wrong, but I'm going for Garimbo on this one, to be honest, by decision. Next up, Movsar Evloev, Aljamain Sterling. The fact this isn't on the main card makes me want to gouge my own fucking eyes out. Now, this fight might make me want to gouge my eyes out because it probably will be boring. However, it's like a number 1 contender fight and it's on the prelims. But Aljamain Sterling, the greatest UFC bantamweight of all time. I stand by that. I am concerned, though, on the feet here. Movsar Evloev is a better striker. than what Aljamain Sterling is. Aljamain Sterling can be kind of slow and sloppy, but he does have whoa, pause, on the feet, but he does have unorthodox striking. Movsar Evloev is a pretty decent boxer, to be honest. It's going to come down to the grappling. I have to back Aljo. I'm taking Aljamain Sterling in this one. This is close. This is close, though. Really, really close. But I just feel like Aljamain Sterling will be able to control Movsar Evloev when he gets him to the mat. I feel like we're going to see Aljo on the back at some point, moving from the back to mount, landing some big shots on Movsar Evloev. I think this might go split decision. This is a really, really close one, but I'm backing Aljamain Sterling. You heard it here first. Next up, Randy Brown, Brian Battle. I'm going for Brian Battle to win this here. I think he is better than Randy Brown, to be honest. I think he can mix in the grappling where Randy Brown really can't with Brian Battle. I'm taking Brian Battle to win this by either... No, I'm going to take him to win this by decision. Like, unanimous, wins all 3 rounds. Next up, Chris Weidman, Eric Anders. This is headlining the early prelims, but was going to be on the main card of UFC 309. So, do we want me to rip my fucking ears off, or what are we doing here, UFC? Chris Weidman beats Eric Anders. Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. I want Joshua Van to win so bad, but I think Cody Durden's going to beat him. Fuck it. Joshua Van's going to win this one. Next up, Michael Chiesa and Max Griffin. I think wrestlers have always been a problem for Max Griffin. I don't think Michael Chiesa is that elite of a wrestler, to be honest, but he is a good overall grappler. And I think Chiesa's just been in there with better opponents, beating better opponents. I'm going for Chiesa. No, not finally. I was going to head of myself there. Chase Hooper is going to stop Clay Guida inside 1.5 rounds. Factual information. The odds are crazy, though. But Chase Hooper is going to beat him up. And finally, Kenny Nsuchukwu is going to get an early stoppage in this fight. Light heavyweights going up to heavyweight. It normally tends to work out well. They're more technical. Kenny Nsuchukwu coming off that win over Chris Barnett, where he actually looked okay, but again, it's Chris Barnett. You can't really look too much into that. I'm going for a first round KO from Kenny Nsuchukwu. Overall, UFC 310 is a great card. I am looking forward to it. The last pay-per-view of the year for the UFC. I do think we are going to see some upset wins. Kind of crazy, the card placement, but nonetheless, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to co-main main event. Looking forward to basically every single fight on this card, to be honest. Let me know your opinions in the comments below, and as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and I will see you again in the next one.